I'd like to talk a little bit about the state of the Republic. The state of the Republic, if you're in Washington, D.C., and you look at what's happening, and if you look at what Washington, D.C. is doing to you and your friends and your neighbors and family, I would say that it looks like the Republic's in bad shape. But if you want to look for some positive things, if you look at the number of people who have opened their eyes, have decided to look at what's going on, especially the young people of this country, who not only are interested in their personal liberties, they have an interest in economic liberty, and they're very interested in doing something about getting rid of the Federal Reserve System. So the revolution is alive and well and growing. There are a few questions that comes up about the revolution. Sometimes people join the revolution just because they know where the momentum is. And sometimes they want to be in charge of the revolution and pass out the same pablum that's been passed out before. So it is up to us, those of us who have thought about it, and you who helped to build and start the revolution, make sure that we have our changes, that we have real changes, and that we don't endorse the nonsense that's going on, that if you're for limited government, you're not for limited government in economic issues, and yet be for big government around the world. They're totally inconsistent. We have to face up now with wars overseas, the wars against the people, wars on drugs, wars on drugs, and the whole bit. It's endless, and it's always a threat to our liberty and confiscates what is happening. You know, the whole problem, I think, so often is language. Because I have never heard of a congresswoman or a congressman go to their district and say, you know what? I really believe in big government. I really believe in raising your taxes. I really believe in printing money endlessly so we have inflation. They never do that. Most candidates go and they talk our language. And it can be a little bit annoying because sometimes they're believed. But our job is to make sure that we know what they really have done in the past and what they really believe, because words aren't worth much if they don't stand behind them, and I think that is our job. I don't think we can get very far unless we talk about the role of government. That's where we have to start. The Founding Fathers understood rather clearly what the role of government ought to be. And they believed in the way they talked and wrote and wrote the Constitution was they believed that the purpose of government was to protect liberty. That was the purpose. It wasn't there to regulate our lives. It wasn't there to police the world. It wasn't there to tell everybody how to spend their money and what they have to take into their bodies. They were there to protect liberty. The Constitution, if you read it carefully, it's so clear. It has nothing to do with restraining peaceful activity of individuals. Nothing. It's essentially a document written for the purpose of limiting the government. That is what it's for. And then the little bit of government they were conceding to, they were advising, and they wrote down where this power of government, the authority of government, would be. And basically, very little of it was supposed to be in Washington, D.C. It was supposed to be more local. But now it's been turned on its head. We have government getting bigger in Washington and is intrusive throughout the country. But the revolutionary spirit we have today actually is rather delightful. We're actually talking about nullification and the 10th Amendment once again. But you know, you hear often on TV, if you happen to listen to a liberal commentator, they come down real hard on you if you believe in nullification. That's some right-wing, wild conspiracy theory about just nullifying laws. What do you mean? Yeah. Yeah, like California would like to nullify the laws against smoking marijuana. So the nullification principle, I think, is a good one. You know, it was also intended by the founders, actually. The principle of secession was based in the Constitution, and the Northeast always threatened to secede from the terrible South. And that was there. But, you know, you can believe in the principle of secession and nullification without undermining our whole system. It's the idea that if we're mistreated or overtaxed and overregulated and fight too many wars, that we have that option. That would put so much brakes on the federal government if they understood that.